Hello and thank you for tuning in to Millennium Movies. So Deadline is reporting that Steven Yeun is set to join the cast of Marvel Studios Thunderbolts movie, and he's going to be playing an undisclosed role that is apparently very significant not only to this film, but could also be playing a really huge role going forward in the future films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And with a lot of speculation that's been going around this movie on the internet, I think that fans are most likely right in that Sentry is probably going to be the big bad of this movie in terms of like the physical threat that the Thunderbolts fight off against. But I think that the real villain of this movie is going to be Contessa, right? Played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, because we saw her up to some shady business in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, where we know she's probably trying to get her hands on some sweet vibranium, and she's probably going to form the Thunderbolts roster to basically just be sort of like a, she can sort of put the blame on them. She can scapegoat her. She can use them as a scapegoat to free herself of any blame that could potentially, if the mission fails to retrieve, to go into Wakanda and try and retrieve some vibranium. So, I think that with the character of Sentry, Steven Yeun is he's got so much range. He got his first Oscar nomination for a lead role in Minari, and then he was really good in Nope, Jordan Peele's Nope. He's really great as Invincible in the Invincible animated series, which is also created by Robert Kirkman, which is where he got his start with also Robert Kirkman in The Walking Dead. But Steven Yeun is an incredible actor, and I'd be very curious to see what he brings to this role of Sentry. Now, Sentry is, again, in the comics, he's Robert Reynolds. He's a meth addict who gains the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns, and Val reportedly plays a hand in Sentry's creation. So again, she sort of wants to create this sort of big bad villain to sort of just do her bidding as she pleases, and that's probably going to be the role of Sentry, and he's going to be sort of this villainous character that the Thunderbolts, after they maybe discover that Val is up to no good, that she's basically formed them together just for her own use and not for the good of humanity. Then they're going to probably turn on her and turn on Sentry, and that's probably going to be the ending fight of the film. But yeah, very exciting stuff here. Steven Yeun is fantastic. The Thunderbolts movie is very interesting just because, it's a lot of sort of, it's been a lot of sort of this, it's basically just getting all the side characters of all these previous movies and shows and putting them in one movie together, like with characters like, John Walker, Taskmaster, Bucky, Ghost, Yelena Belova, Red Guardian. These are characters that are, they're fine characters, but they're not lead role characters. But maybe if you put them all together and you have them, sort of play off that sort of a group dynamic back and forth that we can have between those characters, then maybe we can get something interesting going on here with these characters. Or at the very least, then maybe this is just a setup for, really putting a stamp on Val's position going forward in the MCU, that Val is going to be a character who's going to be sort of like the Thunderbolt Ross, kind of like how Thunderbolt Ross was up until, of course, the unfortunate passing of William Hurt. And speaking of Thunderbolt Ross, Harrison Ford is replacing William Hurt, and he's going to be playing Red Hulk in this movie. He's going to be apparently transforming into the Red Hulk. It's going to be very curious. I'm very curious to see how they're going to pull this movie off. But so far, with Steven Yeun and the cast that's in this, there's potential. There is strong potential for this to be a really good movie that's different from everything else that Marvel's been putting out lately. So very exciting stuff. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on that. And if you want us to stay up to date on all the latest in the world of movie and TV news, well, you're in the right place. And consider subscribing to Millennium Movies, because I'd love to have you along for the ride. But until next time, this has been Millennium Movies. I will see you all very soon.